I'm asked all the time, what is my favorite Avengers story? Tell you what, that's not the best question to ask someone that's read every story out there for the Avengers. But I always come back to this one story in 1986. That is Avengers Under Seige. And I'm going to tell you about it right now. The creative team of Roger Stern and John Buscema were in charge of the Avengers during this great story. The story stretched from issues number 273 to 277, back in 1986 through 1987. I thought it would be fun to give you a quick rundown of what happened through these issues. The central figure of this story is Baron Helmut Zemo, son of Baron Heinrich Zemo, the longtime nemesis of Captain America. Baron Zemo Sr. was slain at the hands of Captain America in Avengers number 15 all the way back in 1965. Following in his father's footsteps, Helmut Zemo formed the fourth incarnation of the Masters of Evil. We've seen the Avengers in many battles in the past, but what makes this story so unique and so memorable is this time the Avengers did not come out victorious. Let's start our tale in Avengers number 273. We find none other than the Lion of Olympus in a local bar enjoying a cold one. With no surprise due to his fiery temper, a fight erupts when a patron jokes that the mighty Hercules has to take orders from a woman, Janet Van Dyne, who's currently the leader of the Avengers. The demigod hurls the man out into the street in a blind rage, but sobers up immediately when he sees an oncoming truck. Luckily, Herc was able to step in the way and save this unfortunate soul. We learn very quickly this is not a random happenstance, but in fact it was a bamboozle. We see that this individual was none other than the wrecker of the Wrecking Crew. It's later revealed that the Masters of Evil have been keeping surveillance on Earth's mightiest heroes, sending their findings to Moonstone and Baron Zemo. In here we see their secret hideout, and we get to see some pretty cool shots of the Masters of Evil going about their day. We see them exercising, we see them experimenting with the Dark Force, you know, as you do. Very shortly later, we see everyone gathered. I know that everyone is a sucker for a stirring speech from time to time, but this takes the cake when it comes to big bad evil guy speeches. Doom to the Avengers, doom to the Fantastic Four, and doom to anyone who's going to try to stop us. Very soon after, when the Avengers are away on various errands and gatherings, the Masters of Evil attack the nearly emptied Avengers Mansion. Smashing through the defensive coils, the villains are able to break into and then occupy the Avengers headquarters. They even capture Jarvis. With the first part of the fateful plan executed, Zemo quickly starts the second phase, having rebuilt the walls of the mansion so that it seems like nothing's wrong. They then set the trap and lay in wait. The first victim is my boy, Dane Whitman. Unfortunately, he was taken by surprise and unable to wield his ebony blade to any good use. Unfortunately, at that, Dane Whitman goes down. The next Avenger to fall prey is Monica Rambeau, and this is pretty ingenious trick. If you don't know, Captain Marvel is one of the strongest Avengers. She's able to transform herself into any earthly energy, whether that is light or gamma rays or just about anything. This is where we need to look into this character named Blackout. Blackout is connected to a different dimension, the Dark Dimension, wielding his Black Force, which is essentially an extension of the Dark Dimension. He's able to envelop and then banish Monica Rambeau into the Dark Dimension. It's none other than the star-spangled man with a plan himself, Captain America, that sees through the ruse. Contacting Avengers Mansion, he hears a clever recording of Janet Van Dyne. He then visits Janet in her New Jersey home, thus realizing something is going on in Avengers Mansion. Janet then decides to scout ahead into the mansion herself. Shrinking down to her wasp size, she goes and scouts out the lay of the land and see what's going on. She meets up with Jarvis, who tells her everything. With this, she retreats back outside. At last, it seems like the Avengers might have a leg up on the situation. This would not last long, however. Here comes Hercules, returning home from a dinner with the beautiful Tanya Seeley. Unfortunately for Herc, Tanya was actually on Zemo's payroll the whole time. As Herc returns, he is still quite visibly drunk and out of sorts. Captain America and Janet are able to pull him aside and warn him of what's going on in the mansion before he walks into a trap. Still heated from the jokes and jibes from the bar earlier, Hercules decides he cannot take orders from a woman any longer. He says that he's going to go into the mansion and take care of the Masters of Evil single-handedly. Hercules walks into the mansion, fights with Tiger Shark, moves further into the mansion, and then gets the ever-living Ichor beat out of him. He's beat so badly that he slips into a coma. Yes, a Greek demigod beat into a coma. Cap and Wasp attempt to help, but in the end, they were unsuccessful. Wasp had to retreat, and Captain America ended up being captured. And if it wasn't good before, this is when it starts to get really, really juicy. First off, now that Captain America is captured, Zemo tells Blackout to surround the entire estate in Dark Force energy. Nothing gets in, nothing gets out. Zemo relishes in his victory, toying with the Sentinel of Liberty, but nothing crushes Captain America's spirit. Here, we do get a very cool glimpse into Zemo's past. We learn that because of Zemo's father's constant losses at the hands of Captain America, tore the Zemo family apart. And thus Helmet vows to do the same to Captain America's family, the Avengers. With this, the most horrific scene in the entire story ensues. Zemo orders Mr. Hyde to beat Jarvis within an inch of his life. And it was agonizing. It was horrible to read. The Avengers are in an all-time low. But finally, they're able to get a leg up in the fight. Wasp and Ant-Man were able to dispatch of the Absorbing Man and Titania when they were sent to the hospital to try to off Hercules. This giving them a much-needed morale boost. The hero of the Shroud unknowingly saves Captain Marvel. The Shroud also connects to the Dark Dimension, and because of his use, Captain Marvel was able to find her way out. Dr. Druid, a psychic, was sitting at home when he saw that the Avengers are in need. He decides to set out and assist them. After a fortunate loss of power and then loss of light, Dane Whitman is able to come to, retrieve his ebony blade, and free Steve Rogers. Heroes Thor, Wasp, Captain Marvel, and Scott Lang, the Ant-Man, meet up in front of the mansion and are able to make their way and confront Mr. Hyde, this time subduing the villain for good. In a very dramatic shot, we see the Avengers save Jarvis, their loyal butler. We shift our attention to Dr. Druid. Using the incredible power of his mind, he's able to control Blackout into dropping the Dark Force shield. Zemo, however, is able to get the jump on Dr. Druid, paralyzing him with his needle gun. Zemo then attempts to re-establish his mental control over Blackout. However, Druid, only being paralyzed in his body, still has use of his awesome brain, and fights Zemo for control of Blackout. This fight, in addition to Blackout's own attempts to gain control of his own mind, is too much for the villain as he keels over, dead. Fighting across the mansion has caused structural damage as the house starts to break apart. Reaching the rooftop, Zemo and Captain America face off one-on-one duel of the fates. After a very emotional and heated battle, we see Zemo at wit's end, charging at Captain America. Cap sidesteps the charge. Zemo, now off balance, falls from the rooftop, critically injured. With Zemo down, the remaining Masters of Evil surrender into police custody. We see Captain America in mourning over his destroyed footlocker, mourning all of his lost memories. I love this book for so many reasons. We get to see the Avengers persevere through the worst. We see the Avengers at an all-time low. I know that Zemo and the Masters of Evil were defeated in the end, but I'm not going to count this as a win for the Avengers. They lost Avengers Mansion. Hercules is in a coma, and Jarvis is beaten so badly he's unable to return to work for quite some time. It was a rough one for them, but as always, we get to see them rise to the occasion and beat back the foes. This is one of my favorite stories, and I think about it all the time. Now, I like to let you know how you can read books, so here's a quick rundown. Of course, if you're a purist, you can get the books right here in single issue form. I gave you a recount of 273 to 277. A lot of people also say the story starts in 270. You can take a look at that as well. You've got a couple other options. I picked up this bad boy online years ago in my original read-through. This is an old school trade-back paperback. It's pretty cool, but in today's standards, it's a little dated. But luckily, we've got the Avengers Epic Collection. They've got it covered right here, Avengers Under Siege. It has the entire line through it, and you get to see this awesome cover right here with Thor marching in to save the day. Guys, I love doing this, and I hope you love watching it. If you ever have any questions for me, you can hit me up in the comments below. You can hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments, what is your favorite Avengers story? I just told you mine. What is the story for the Avengers that you like the most? Thank you guys so much for watching. Excelsior, true believers. Till next time.